Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in again today. The Dodgers' chase for a historic three-peat has taken a shocking turn, and what happened behind closed doors over the past 72 hours is far more intense than anyone imagined. A wave of internal restructuring, three blockbuster trades, and the sudden release of five young talents have thrown the entire organization into chaos. And at the center of this storm stands Shohei Ohtani, whose unexpected reaction reportedly left Dodgers executives speechless. The atmosphere inside the front office shifted from quiet planning to full-scale emergency. The winter meetings, which were supposed to be routine, have now become the stage for the most dramatic roster shakeup of the Dodgers era. Why were Teoscar Hernandez, Dalton Rushing, Tyler Glasnow, Gavin Stone, and Kim Hee-sung suddenly placed on the trade board? What did Ohtani say that froze the room? And what shocking truth did Friedman reveal that changed the franchise's future overnight? Today, we uncover all of it. Every decision, every sacrifice, every voice raised in protest, and every hidden strategy behind the Dodgers' desperate push for a third straight championship. So buckle up, this isn't just a roster update. It's the beginning of the biggest internal battle the Dodgers have faced in years. Now, let's dive into the full story. The Dodgers' next goal is to win a third consecutive championship, and to achieve this, restructuring their team and personnel are their top priorities. The decision of who to keep was extremely difficult, and Dodgers leadership has held countless meetings to make a fair decision that is in the team's best interests. A major internal trade deal sparked shockwaves. Specifically, the Dodgers released five potential players and officially announced three major trades. Upon hearing the decision, Ohtani's expression suddenly changed, and the front office was reportedly speechless at his frightening proposal. Teoscar's signing with the Red Sox was met with sudden applause following Ohtani's intervention, and when the behind-the-scenes details were revealed, the special relationship between the two became a hot topic. In a recent press conference, Team President Friedman outlined three issues that must be resolved at the winter meetings in order to achieve a third consecutive championship. He said these three issues are the focus of this season's reinforcements, and if resolved, the Dodgers dynasty will be reborn next season. So what are these three major issues, and why are they so crucial for the Dodgers? First, stabilizing the bullpen, a dangerous weakness late in games. The Dodgers' bullpen has repeatedly caused fans anxiety throughout this season. Maintaining a late lead has been a constant headache, especially in close games. The team repeatedly lost leads in the seventh, and ninth innings, and the manager's style has been a tightrope walk with little stability. The acquisition of Sacco Offner-Scott was expected to solve the problem, but the improvement has not been dramatic. Therefore, this season, the Dodgers once again need a reliable reliever and a player who can pitch multiple innings and serve as a starting pitcher. The next weakness the Dodgers must address is Gaia, whose inconsistency is severe. Antigas has shown great potential, but he is still young and has yet to explode over a full season. Tommy Edman has ankle issues, and it's unclear whether he can consistently play center field throughout the season. Third, utilizing his talent as a key factor in a major trade. The Dodgers currently boast a deep interior compared to other teams, featuring a pitcher returning from injury with MLB speed and a quality starting center fielder and long reliever. These players are highly valued trade assets for teams undergoing a rebuild or lacking pitching. As a result, Freeman stated that future organizational strategies will be centered around these major issues. After his final remarks, Friedman concluded the press conference and hurried back to the internal conference room. There, he and Dodgers executives engaged in a lengthy meeting to discuss a major announcement even more significant than the Teoscar matter. According to leaked information, Friedman acknowledged that significant adjustments are underway, and up to 5 players are expected to be required to discuss the restructuring plan and potential trades. The special meeting began with all the lights in the room turned off, leaving only the large screen in front of them to illuminate. A video began playing on the large screen, showing strategic data that the front office had been preparing for weeks. Potential trade package candidates were displayed one after another, further shocking the already tense atmosphere. Teoscar Hernandez, Dalton Rushing, Tyler Glasnow, Gavin Stone, River Ryan, and Kim Hai-song, all important players no one would have expected to be trade candidates, were not finished. But the video wasn't over yet. Friedman switched slides, revealing a long list of young prospects who were seen as key players in the Dodgers' future, and they were also potential trade assets. Tension flared in the room, with key members nervously discussing each name as it appeared. This was no longer a regular meeting. It was a crucial moment that would determine the entire team's future. Friedman surveyed the room and said that sometimes moving forward requires more sacrifice than one might expect. The first name announced was one everyone knew, yet hearing it still brought pain. The room fell silent as Teoscar's image in a Dodgers uniform appeared on the large screen. Friedman stood up and walked into the discussion, speaking in a subdued voice that conveyed the gravity of his decision. "Teoscar is a warrior," Friedman said. "But sometimes, in baseball and in life, we have to take different paths." He explained that they were facing the harsh reality that Teoscar's trade value would drop significantly over time due to his declining defensive ability, the manipulation of his batting statistics, and the effects of his age. The Dodgers needed a mandate, and Teoscar, however unwilling, was the perfect fit for that strategy. The Boston Red Sox logo clicked on the screen, and a small bout of excitement spread throughout the room. Friedman continued, "The Red Sox have been pursuing Teoscar for 3 years. They still believe he has investment in them and has the ability to make a difference. And they were the most enthusiastic negotiators." He recounted the moment of Teoscar's final phone call. He paused for a few seconds, then said he would accept it if it was for the good of the team. The lights gradually brightened up, but the excitement in the room continued. Teoscar was only the first person to speak, and everyone knew this was the icing on the cake in a storm of events unfolding for the Dodgers. As soon as Teoscar's name was announced, Gomez turned to the next page of the electronic report. In the cold, pale light, the second and third names, Dalton Rushing and Tyler Glasnow, appeared on the screen, and everyone's faces trembled with tension. The room erupted in a hush. Rushing was the farm team's best young prospect. Glasnow was the centerpiece of the rotation. No one expected them to be included in the same trade. Friedman stepped forward, his voice calm but weighty. This was the biggest trade of all time. The other party was the Detroit Tigers. He pressed a button on the remote, and the image of ace pitcher Rick Skubal, currently in a slump, appeared on the screen. Friedman continued, "To get Skubal, we had to give up both Rushing and Glasnow. The Tigers had been demanding both of them since day one of negotiations. And with 8 teams clamoring for Rushing his value skyrocketed, creating an opportunity we couldn't pass up. He recalled weeks of negotiations that repeatedly fell apart, but ultimately the Tigers accepted. The Dodgers lost two key pieces, but in return, they gained an ace who could carry the entire rotation. The atmosphere in the meeting room was heavy with gloom, but also high with anticipation. Everyone understood that this was a trade that would determine the Dodgers' future. As Gomez tried to move on to the next name, a flood of hands rose in unison, as if in an explosion of emotion. Mookie Betts was the first to rise, followed by Freddie Freeman and Ohtani. Nearly half of the Dodgers' core members followed suit. "We're judging Teoscar too quickly. We need to reevaluate his true contributions in the locker room. He's stabilized the team's formula." Freeman followed suit, emphasizing his offensive value. "Teoscar isn't the type to lose his drive. His batting still has power. He can explode again if he adjusts his swing activation." But as Ohtani stepped forward, the room instantly fell silent. Ohtani's voice cut through the air, as if he was savoring the first player. "He's part of our offensive system. An important part. Losing him would upset the balance they had maintained up until then." At that moment, the atmosphere changed completely, and a wave of uncertainty and conflict spread throughout the conference room. What unfolded inside the Dodgers front office over these past days reveals far more than a simple roster adjustment. It exposes the growing pains of a dynasty trying desperately to reinvent itself before the league catches up. From an objective standpoint, the situation highlights a fundamental truth in modern baseball. Sustained dominance requires constant reinvention, even when the decisions are painful. The Dodgers find themselves at a crossroads where loyalty, performance, economics, and long-term vision collide. Teoscar Hernandez, Dalton Rushing, and Tyler Glasnow are not merely names on a trade board, they represent three different eras of Dodgers baseball. Hernandez symbolizes veteran reliability. Rushing represents the promise of the next generation. Glasnow embodies the fragile yet essential risk of elite pitching. But the pressure to maintain a three-peat trajectory forces management to confront a harsh timeline. In a league where other franchises are rapidly improving, standing still is no different from falling behind. That urgency is what drove Friedman and his team into a whirlwind of negotiations, analytics review sessions, and emotionally charged meetings. What makes this moment particularly fascinating is the internal divide revealed within the organization. On one side are the executives, who view players as strategic assets within a larger championship blueprint. On the other side stand the players, especially Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman, who see chemistry, trust, and on-field harmony as the true backbone of winning. Both perspectives are valid, both are necessary, and both are now in direct conflict. This tension is not a sign of dysfunction, but rather a sign of ambition. Teams without championship aspirations never experience this level of strain. Only clubs operating at the very edge of excellence face decisions where every path forward requires sacrifice. From a purely analytical perspective, trading high-value assets like Rushing and Glasnow for an ace like Tarik Skubal is defensible. Depth wins championships, but elite arms win October. And it is also fair to question whether Hernandez's long-term value aligns with the physical demands of a 162-game season. At the same time, the players' reaction, especially Ohtani's, underscores another truth. Numbers cannot quantify leadership, trust, or the emotional architecture of a clubhouse. The Dodgers dynasty was not built solely on analytics or money, but on a culture of unity, humility, and shared purpose. Removing key personalities risks unintended consequences that metrics alone cannot predict. What the Dodgers are experiencing right now is something every great team eventually faces. The moment when winning and evolving become indistinguishable, and the cost of maintaining greatness feels heavier than greatness itself. Whether these bold moves will propel the Dodgers to a third championship or fracture the delicate balance within the team remains to be seen. But one thing is undeniable: the franchise is no longer simply playing baseball. It is playing chess at the highest stakes imaginable. And so, as the Dodgers stand on the edge of their most turbulent transformation in years, one thing has become unmistakably clear: this story is far from over. Front office tension is rising, star players are drawing their lines in the sand, and every decision the Dodgers make from this point forward will ripple into the heart of their championship chase. Will these bold moves forge an unstoppable dynasty, or fracture the foundation that made the Dodgers great in the first place? Only time and the next wave of breaking news will tell. But one thing is certain: the next chapter will be even more dramatic than the last. Thank you for watching, and if you want to follow every twist, every shock, and every behind-the-scenes shift shaping the future of MLB, make sure you come back for the next episode. Because the Dodgers story is just beginning, and you won't want to miss what happens next.